showing 5:20 on in here, but we're talking close enough to 5:30. I think in the interest of time and weather, we will begin.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Toots, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right. All right, we will begin. It is March 10, 2022. It is 5:30 p.m. and this is the work session of the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. I'll just mention for the record going into it that I was contacted by Commissioner Bolton today, and due to health issues that she's experiencing, she's not able to attend in person or remotely, either by go-to meeting or by telephone. So there are three of us here present this evening, Commissioners Leone, Lopez, and myself. We do constitute a quorum of 3 of 4, so we will conduct the meeting this evening. Item number 1 on the work session agenda is bylaw amendments. We talked about this last month, and it was agreed that we would be considering and ultimately adopting two points to the bylaws. Well, bylaws are not required, they are not mandated, they are highly recommended, and the Trinidad Urban Renewal adopted bylaws in 2019, and we've operated on those since. One of the things that was brought forward that I mentioned in the past was that our bylaws did not mention specifically where our meeting place is. And we've conducted our meetings here since the inception of Trinidad Urban Renewal back in 2015. Our place of business is listed in our bylaws as City Hall, but we did not specifically name City Hall, City Council Chambers as our meeting place. So that is under the regular meeting, section 2 of Article 3, I believe. It does mention the bullet point is, well, it's not a bullet point, but it does note that our meeting place is Trinidad City Hall, City Council Chambers. In addition to that, this is something that came up in a recent training session that was offered by DCI. One of the attorneys that was making a presentation did mention in there that it would be a wise idea that if provisions for remote attendance of meetings were not provided within bylaws. She did recommend one and did mention that they're not mandatory, but they are recommended. And if we have bylaws, that they should include the provision that allows attendance by remotely. And so there are certain times when it has become extremely helpful, especially over the last 2 years with the onset of the coronavirus, and for other reasons, so it has been helpful. I just got to mention, and we got to consider this, and it does set the parameters. And so, although it does allow for remote meetings, it does say in there that the maximum is 2 consecutive meetings to be attended by remote, with no more than 4 in a calendar year. This can be waived at the discretion of TURA, but that is what we're looking at now. We talked about last month, and we will ultimately be voting on that if commissioners agree that that's one that we want to amend the bylaws to include. So that is on the regular meeting tonight for adoption. With that, I ask Commissioners Leone and Commissioner Lopez, do you have any questions or objections to taking it forward?
Ladies first.
I have no objections.
I have none either.
Okay. And again, I mentioned it last week that this language it's derived partially from and a little bit of rewording, but the actual basis for it, some of the wording is actually taken from the document of the City of Trinidad. It's incorporated into the charter. It's not the charter. I forget what is exactly the document, but that's where this I modeled it by using. It's condensed. It doesn't have the full wording that the city's policy has regarding remote meetings, but that's what I brought it forward with. So if it's all right as it is, it will go into the regular meeting under new business for adoption this evening. Item number 2 this evening is we did speak in the recent past about the difficulty created by not having anything time specific regarding the facade improvement incentive program. And so I did take this to Mike Scholl from Ayers and Associates, who assisted us with the revision and rewrite that we brought into being last March. And the only thing that he suggested, and that's what we've got, is on the application, bullet point number 4 under additional consideration, is facade construction shall, and facade construction we refer to, I guess, as renovation, shall commence within 90 days of approval of the facade improvement grant and to be completed within 12 months of the approval. Failure to complete the work within 12 months will result in termination of the grant contract. Extensions may be granted at the discretion of the TURA board with a written request by the applicant. This was presented to TURA last month. The only changes that TURA requested, the board requested, that it was written in as be the discretion of the TURA chair. We went with TURA board, which it should be, rightfully so. So that's the change that we will be considering this evening. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Commissioner Leone.
Yes, on number 13,
Number 13.
TURA will provide 25% of costs up front. Could we say approved costs?
Can you repeat that, Commissioner Leone?
Yes, on number 13,
Number 13.
can you find 13? I think that sounds like we're gonna pay for everything. It just, TURA will provide 25% of costs up front. TURA will provide approved 25% costs up front.
Are you looking at the actual policy itself? Okay, I see it.
Yes.
TURA will provide 25, and that would be, and this is in the policy, in the document that we adopted previously. And so we're not, there's no change on that. That's still as it was before. We only addressed the change of the commencement date
What we
and project
changed, right.
time. But that Commissioner Leone would, I take it, and I think we took it then, is that we'll provide, we can provide 25% up front if that's what the project requires, or the applicant does. 25% at the beginning, 25 at midway, and then 50% at completion with proper documentation.
I don't know, when I was reading through it again today, it just dawned on me that sounds like, you should have said approved. That's all. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Well, do you want to see a change in the would you like to see a change in the wording on that?
I just think of if you're reading that, it comes across like we are paid 25% of their costs.
Okay.
Upfront.
If you look at the very last part of the application, amount requested, it says program maximum is 25% of project cost, 10,000 maximum. Payment of approved funds, 25% at commencement of project, 25% at midpoint, and then the balance at the completion. And it does specify their payment of approved funds.
Okay,
Is that adequate for you?
yes, it is.
I see your point, Commissioner Leone. However, I think it's just the overall approval is the board approving the grant period, and that last comment on the bottom of
Right.
that does make it all tie in.
It does go into more detail later.
Right, yeah,
Just,
so I'm,
I don't know, for some reason when I was reading that today, I just thought somebody could read that very wrong. That was just my thought.
Okay, well, I mean, that's something that if you feel that it needs to be done, we can get the document changed. I mean, it's just a matter of having Mike Scholl, who has it in place. We can change that if you want that wording in there. I mean, we can do that and hold the, because we're only looking right now at the application. That's what we have on the agenda. It's only for the wording of the application. We can come back later if we want to do that and make a change and make specification within the policy itself, if that's what we want to do.
It could be another agenda item for the next meeting, for that portion of it, because this is the application on tonight's agenda, not the entire document, correct?
Right, it's just the application.
So, Commissioner Leon, we can move forward with what we have in front of us today, and if you feel adamant, I think we can address that before we have, you can contact Mr. Ayers and see if that wants to be.
I can get that done, so do you want to do it before we make the application change? Or do you want to do the application change and just revise the wording to have them coincide?
I think the application should be finished. I saw nothing wrong with that.
I agree.
Okay, so we can make that approval. Okay, because the application does have it, and we're just trying to get in their specification that the project has to have a definite start, and
Right.
a start date. We don't know about completion. We don't know.
Mr. Ayers might see that it doesn't need to be changed, so let's get his professional opinion, I would think.
Okay. Agreeable to you, Commissioner Leone?
Yes.
Okay. In item number 3 then, okay, we'll take that for, we will be considering it tonight under new business as well. Item number 3 this evening on there is to give everybody an update on the facade applications that we have in place, either approved or pending. We did at the February meeting discuss with Gloria Hall from SCRT the application that had been presented, and at that particular time, because there was questions whether they had their portion necessary for the project to take place, we would be taking that forward. At the time of the writing of my memo and the preparation of the agenda, which happened last Friday, March the 4th, didn't have any word back from Gloria Hall, and so it was one that it was just going to go into the future. I did receive a call from her day before yesterday on March 8th, indicating that they look like they have the funds available to make their 75% and would be presenting it to us for consideration for their approval of the amount that they requested, which is like $2,600 and change. Because it happened on March 8th, agenda was out. I advised her that couldn't get it on it, couldn't make the amendment to the agenda that quickly. So she will get additional documentation to TURA so we can get it on the agenda for the April meeting, both on the work session and or the take it forward for consideration on the regular meeting. So I did get that information from her. Like I say, it happened though after I had the agenda out, and it would have been a little bit difficult from a time standpoint to be able to make the amendment on it. So that will come forward in April. I also had not heard anything from Kip Hamden. We have one approved project with one application still pending. I did make a call to Gary Fentman at the end of last week. I believe it was Friday. And did reach him by cell phone, but I did find out at that point that he had just landed somewhere out of the country on vacation, so it was not an appropriate or convenient time for us to discuss. But he said he would be contacting me upon his return or shortly after his return early next week and tell me what the status of where they're at on that. So I'm trying to get something, have it in front of us for update at least in the April meeting. Any questions?
What's a vacation?
Well, yeah, I was a little flabbergasted myself. Sky?
I had an inquiry recently about the facade program, so I was looking through my files, and I don't think I have an application form. If you could pass one along.
Okay,
Maybe
when they need that, when it comes to that part, Brittany can send it out.
Okay.
And so that one will be part of what we've got tonight. That will be the amended application. So it'll be available through Brittany's office. We have the document there. It's just a matter of providing her with their contact information. And she's been kind enough to get that out. If not, they can send that request to me and I'll make sure it's emailed to
Okay.
them as well. So yeah, either way they get it to us, we will distribute that information.
Great.
Okay, item number 4, training and education. I did provide, and unfortunately it was a lot of information, but I did attend here recently, and I presented that to commissioners of Urban Renewal at last month's meeting. DCI, Downtown Colorado Incorporated, conducted a TIF 101 seminar on our presentation on the 23rd of February. It was my intent to attend in person, and as the time came on, we had weather almost similar to what we're experiencing today. And so they, out of concern, changed that meeting and allowed the presentation to happen via Zoom. And therefore I was able to attend. I saved 2 hours of travel, and they actually were able to condense the meeting into 3 hours. So I did provide to commissioners the information that I downloaded. I will say that this clarity is not all that good as far as that, so I may have to resend it again, where it's a little more, it's clearer more than it was on the attached information that you got in the packet. But I highly recommend that it be viewed as information that is, I mean, it's highly instrumental to what we do. I mean, it tells us our mission and what it is we are to do, what we're supposed to do, and what TURA is all about. It is, based on tax increment, but there are some excellent presenters in there that I think will be most helpful. DCI does conduct a monthly phone call. I missed it yesterday because of a prior commitment, but they do have a 1-hour phone call that they have every month, and it's a collection of a lot of people that brings a lot of information, helpful information to urban renewals. So I'll get that to you all as well. We are members of DCI, so our urban renewal is allowed to participate. Item number 5, again, I mentioned in the past that I would continue to bring forward. I am trying to diligently look. We need more members on this board, and if it behooves us all, if you know of anybody, recommend to them attend a meeting. I'll give them whatever I can. You as board members, give them what you got, and see if we can attract some more, because as time goes on, if there's going to be projects that we undertake, we need board members.
I solicit every board meeting I have that we have openings here, so maybe one of these days one of our other county elected officials or their office staff members might want to participate.
Yeah, Tom, it's a really high paid and really sought after position.
Lots of beverages.
Oh yeah.
Crab legs for dinner.
It's a real elegant place to be.
Right.
Item
It's
number
really hard.
It is.
Chairman, it's really hard to get people to want to volunteer anymore. I don't know what's going on.
from a lot of different aspects. It is. I understand it. I don't know. I think it's a generational thing, and I would hope that some more younger persons would get involved. It's become more difficult to attract. But like I say, we keep bringing it up. I know it sounds like pounding on something that won't go away, but I do mention it because it is of concern. Especially like tonight, we're a 4-member board and only 3 of us, and so we've squeaked by and made a quorum, so we need to consider it. Item number 6, items for future discussion. Anybody have anything that they need me to or would like to have added on that not necessarily I will get it on if you want to bring forward anything?
I would think, I'm sorry, Commissioner Leone, go ahead, you first.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
I'm thinking that possibly at the end of tax season, end of April, we re-invite the county treasurer and assessors back to give us an update of the collection.
Okay. Well, actually, that was going to be something that I brought up
Okay.
during the reports tonight.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's something that I wanted to bring up when we go to the director or commissioner's reports.
And because of the
Mr. Cook,
change in if there's the city statutes that are passed that are going through legislation right now, might lower some of our property values or property assessment rates, and or the RAR might drop. There's a lot of variables right now that's happening in the
Right.
legislature. Felix is up there today and tomorrow at CCI going over this, and I think the assessor's office and the treasurer's office, more the assessor's office would have a really more information to give us, because she really keens in on that. So
Right. Okay, yeah, I want to bring that up as we go too as well, so thank you. Anything else that we need to bring up tonight during the work session?
I would like to see TURA try to find something like a facet program that we have, something else that maybe we could process.
You mean in addition to the facade program?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, and that is one that, yeah, I mean, what urban renewal is all about is the elimination and the remediation of blight. And there should be projects actually in greater depth than what we are. I think the facade program was brought into being because we didn't see a whole lot going on, so it was like an add-on or whatever else. But yes, and if you look at that presentation, that TIF 101 that is available hopefully sooner than later, you will see, it pretty much alludes to why urban renewals exist. And yes, projects of larger magnitude are necessary because we have a TIF clock that is ticking, and we've got
22 years,
19 years remaining.
19 years.
Yeah. So
Yes.
if it's going to have any value, that TIF required by developers is essential. So the longer that period of time, and so again, clock is ticking. So I understand, and again, I will bring up something in my report as we proceed through the regular agenda.
And also possibly a conversation with the city of Trinidad for blight around the community, including Cougar Canyon. As a commissioner, we have been having the treasurer's office go after some of the warranty or go with the deeds and collecting the taxes out there now. We're getting some momentum. But it's not enough. I think the city needs to really address the metro district moving forward, get that resolved, and then, because the hotel, as you drive out there, is just an eyesore.
Oh, yeah.
And what's the other big eyesore I get complaints on all the time is the Opera House. That partial sidewalk's been there, that wood sidewalk's been there for what, 6-7 years now, and nothing's still been done with that facility or that building. So those might be some ideas to have a get together with city council or city manager. I know Mike's leaving here soon, but that'd be something to get moving forward with. See what we can do, how we can move forward. I mean, everybody, calls and we get the calls of, progress for Trinidad. Well, let's finish what we started instead of jumping to the next, event or the next great thing that's going to come here. So I think that really needs to be addressed as well. So I think if we could visit with them or city officials, or I don't know how you want to go forward with that with the city, Sky, or.
Well, they are items to talk about, and one, there was a time in my predate when you all were on the commission, but there was a pre-development agreement that was presented to the and the required funding for a pre-development agreement was placed in escrow with the Urban Renewal Authority, and I believe that was back in 2018. However, circumstances didn't allow it to go forward for that property owner wasn't able to locate a developer because of the high costs. Well, we can talk about that.
Or get rid of it.
Well, unfortunately, that's one of the things that Urban Renewal does.
Right, we can get rid of blight. So
Yeah, that's one of the unfortunate things that you try to work around. But yeah, that's.
if I had $1 million, I'd buy it. I'd fix it. Maybe $2 million probably gonna take, but those are some of the buildings we get the space to create building have been repaired and all of those other buildings. So we're getting those in. Why not the next one? So I'm just.
It's a matter of concern.
Right.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, well, I've got that, and I will try to prepare what I can, and I will allude a little more to this when we get to the reports tonight. That being the case, that concludes our work session agenda. We will go forward to the regular meeting. This is a Trinidad Urban Renewal. Today is Thursday, March the 10th, 2022. It is 5:54 p.m. Roll call, please.
Bolton, Leone,
Yes,
Lopez,
Here.
Grego.
Here. Item number 2 this evening is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting conducted on February the 10th, 2022. Advance copy of that was sent to commissioners. Is there a motion for approval?
I reviewed the minutes and I would entertain a motion make the motion to approve the minutes.
Commissioner Leone?
I second that motion.
Okay.
Did we not have February minutes?
Pardon? Was there a copy?
They're at the bottom.
Okay.
Way at the end.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? And I have to apologize. That last meeting was February the 17th, not February the 10th. We had a delay. If you recall, we had to reschedule. So I have to back that up. Our meeting was held on the 17th of February at 2022, not the 10th. We did have to reschedule.
Right.
Okay. Commissioner Lopez moved for approval. Commissioner Leone seconds. Any further questions or comments? Roll call.
Leone,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Grego.
Yes. Item number 3 is the acceptance of the financial report. That information was provided to commissioners as well in advance. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the acceptance of the financial report.
Second?
Motion to approve by Commissioner Leone, and a second by Commissioner Lopez. Any questions or comments? I do have to bring up one thing, and that sort of maybe a little sooner than I thought, Commissioner Lopez, so that you did bring up that we maybe need to schedule a meeting with the assessor and treasurer. And I would think that we would like to as well, because I'd like to get a current schedule of properties, that are subject to TIF collection in Trinidad. I do want to bring forward that, or mention that our year-to-date actual TIF at the end of February is $1,011. I looked back to see what it was a year ago, and it was only 516. So my assumption is, and I guess you would know more about that, Commissioner Lopez, that I guess there's somewhat of a windfall that'll happen in the not too distant future, where first quarter or first half taxes get paid. And
Yep, in February and then in April.
okay, so that's when we probably start seeing the bulk of our TIF money come in, because when I saw $1,011 year to date, it was concerning, because I've budgeted for $40,000, and when I saw that, I went back to a year ago, because we pretty much got our 2021 actual exceeded $41,000. So a year ago at this time, we were only sitting on $516 of income from TIF. So I get, that sort of relieved me a bit, but I would like maybe to.
We're hoping. Traditionally, the Treasurer's Office does not have a difficulty for the most part of delinquent accounts in Los Angeles County for the most part. With the current economy right now and the surging prices of food and fuel, Donna Leonetti has made some concerns that this possibly might come in to see some late payments or some of that sort, because people are really pinched right now. So We're hoping not. We haven't seen that in the past, not in the 6 years I've been on the board. Thank God, but we don't know what the future holds at this point. But that's why
Right.
I mentioned maybe bring her in and the assessor does what.
Right, and the county assessor,
Jody Model.
she did allude to that when she was here the last time. She did indicate that the exemption for personal property had increased substantially, so we could be impacted by that. But yeah, I will, as soon as we can, maybe, could I ask you, since you're there frequently, if that would be something that we could accomplish with them, and then let me know? Because
So basically, we want to.
you know, at some time, you know, I know they're probably entering some of the busiest part of the year.
Right.
But if they can, if they, you know.
Give us an update.
Well, give us an update or and ask, Assessor Amato if she could provide us, and maybe at some time we could actually sit down with her, more so in her office and down here, to get a schedule. I'd like to see what properties are there and what the TIF is that's derived from them.
Okay, I'll call her tomorrow morning.
Okay, if you can, that would be helpful to me.
Hopefully she's not calving. It's calving season for her. But no, she's usually in the courthouse by 10 o'clock.
I apologize for digressing from there, but we have a motion and a second. Is there any other further questions, comments? Roll call.
Leoni,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Grego.
Yes. Item number 4, consideration of bills. We have one bill that's been presented to us for the month of February, and that was for work done by Ayers and Associates related to the changing of our application for the facade improvement program. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to $338, Ayers and Associates.
Second?
Motion and a second. Commissioner Leone on the motion, Commissioner Lopez on the second. Any questions, comments? Roll call.
Leoni,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Grego.
Yes. Item number 5, petitions or communications, oral or written. I don't believe there's anybody in chambers tonight, but is there anybody in attendance who go to meetings that would like to address Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority? Let the record reflect that there is no one coming forward that is requesting to address Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. Item number 6, old business, there is none of record. Item number 7, new business, consideration to amend the bylaws. We did have that discussion earlier in the work session. That amendment to the bylaws will be, 1, to specify the meeting place as to the city council chambers, which we are in presently, and to allow for and set the parameters for attendance of Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority meetings by remote access. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to consider the bylaws amendments.
Second?
Second it.
Motion by Commissioner Lopez and a second by Commissioner Leone. Any further questions or comments? Roll call?
Leoni,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Grego.
Yes. Item 7B, consideration, under new business, consideration to amend the facade improvement incentive application. Again, that change will be for the addition of that bullet point number 4, which has to do with the setting of a 90 days for commencement of projects, 90 days from the approval date by Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. With completion within 12 months I'll read it again. Facade construction shall commence within 90 days of approval of the facade improvement grant and completed within 12 months of approval. Failure to complete the work within 12 months will result termination of the contract, extensions to be granted at the discretion of the TURA board with a written request by the applicant. Motion?
It's the Sophie and Luis show tonight. I'll make the motion to consider the amend facade improvement incentive applications.
Commissioner Leone, are you on for a second?
I will second it.
All right. Commissioner Lopez on the motion, Commissioner Leone on the second. Any further questions or comments? Roll call.
Leone? Lopez?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item number 8, report by the executive director. One of the things that, and I've already alluded to one of them, was that probably would like to be able to talk with County Assessor Amato and County Treasurer Donna Dianetti regarding TIF collection properties that are on the schedule, which are subject to the where we get the TIF. So that was already brought up, already discussed. Commissioner Lopez has agreed that he'll make first contact on that. I do also want to report that I did recently, actually on the 2nd of March, have a conversation with Mike Scholl. Just gave him sort of an update of where we're at. Mike Scholl of Ayers and Associates, who is our the consulting firm that has assisted us with several things in the past 2 years. One of the things he wanted to know is if TURA had any projects to be considered or where we're at, and told him, I would be advising TURA at our meeting and quite possibly trying to gather information to see what's out there. I mean, it's not a matter of us just looking for them. There have to be projects out there that are willing to develop. There are certain parameters that have to be set. So one, Commissioner Leone, your question earlier was, are there other things that we can do? And yes, I hope there are things we can do. Hopefully we can get those off the ground.
Thank you.
Sky Tolman is with the planning director for the city of Trinidad, has graced us with his presence again this evening. Sky, anything you would like to mention to us?
Yeah, there's two things. One is next week on Wednesday, we are going to be holding a public event, the Trinidad, Aguilar, and Los Angeles County, for the brownfield grant that we have. So if you are aware of anybody who may have a potentially contaminated site, it's going to be an info session at the A.R. Mitchell Museum at 5:30.
I think there was an email that came out on that, was there not?
So you should have gotten at least one email I distributed to you. But that is something that it's happening next week, the 16th.
16th.
Mm-hmm. So the day before St. Patrick's Day.
At 5:30.
5:30 at the A.R. Mitchell Museum. Carrie Racky from Stantec is going to be in town in person, and we're going to talk to any property owners who would like to rejuvenate their property. Sort of the purpose of the brownfield grant is to take a property that's underutilized due to actual or perceived contamination. And that could be lead paint, it could be asbestos, it could be petroleum, it could be really a very wide range of different types of contaminants.
That's for assessment, not for remediation, right?
Right. So this is the assessment grant that we're talking about specifically. There is money out there for remediation, but this is usually the first step to moving towards that.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much to primarily identify that there's an issue. The county's used the Brownsville grant before at the airport and at the courthouse as well. Very great tool.
Yeah, and the county, talking with Phil Dorenkamp, has submitted or is working on a eligibility form for the fairgrounds.
Yep.
So that's happening. And to one of your comments earlier, Commissioner Lopez, the city has been working on going through our ADO program and closing cases that are closed and actually opening up a number of new ones. One of those that's getting reopened is the hotel at Cougar Canyon, so we're on the cusp of issuing a new notification of violation. We had spoken with the owners when I first came on with the city, so maybe about 6 months ago, and since then, I believe we've been out of contact. So we're going to reinitiate that process, and along with several others around town.
It'll help tremendously, that development out there, to remove that eyesore.
To remove it or to get it fixed
Or to
up.
get it fixed up, so
One way
those
or
lots
another.
will start having some production out there and housing, because,
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to open my window and see that every morning.
And if you'd like me to coordinate a meeting with you or other commissioners and the city to, maybe the county.
And we could probably do that. Talk to Mr. Dornkamp, and
Mhm.
he'll poll the board and see what they're available,
Okay.
so we can get a date together and we can have a work session or something. Do
Okay.
that. That's good news, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question. About First Street. When we talk about getting rid of blight, when are we gonna finish First Street?
I couldn't tell you the exact timeline, but I can tell you that the ball is rolling on that, and it's often
Great.
rolls a little slower than we think it ought to, but the funding is in place, and our engineering department is working on the drawings and working on getting that engineered. So what the timeline is, I couldn't tell you, but it's not being delayed. It's an active project.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And yeah, often for lay folks, the pace of projects and development is a little bit slower than we'd like to imagine.
Yes. That the holes just get bigger and deeper and deeper. I go by there every day to make deposits or something, and it's getting bad. Thank you.
Do you have anything else you wanted to mention, Scott?
Those are the two things I wanted to mention.
All right. Well, I appreciate you staying over from your workday to give us some updates and insight of what's going on, because, I guess I could get that more and maybe you and I need to have more contact or more frequent lunch or something. We've done that in the past, and I thought that was very enjoyable and
Anytime.
very informative. So, whenever we can, maybe we can do that just to keep
Thank
stuff
you.
out there. So we'll make a point of it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
anytime.
That was all I had, and again, I thank Sky for being here to provide that information that I could probably glean by being more in contact with him, but I think it's informative that he stays, and I do appreciate the courtesy, so thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. That's all I have. Item number 9, reports by commissioners. Commissioner Leone?
Nothing to report.
I don't have anything for TURA, but I do have an announcement that I was nominated by Council of Governments to be the representative for Council of Governments to the Front Range Passenger Rail moving forward.
Congratulations.
The bill was, Senate Bill 21-238 was put in place last May, and so I will be your rep.
Congratulations.
We'll
One
be
more.
saying all aboard.
All aboard. Another board.
All right,
Another
then.
board, yeah.
If there's nothing else to come before the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority, we were item number 10, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Lopez,
So moved.
second.
Commissioner Lopez makes a motion, Commissioner Leone is a second. If there are no dissenting votes, we will call this meeting adjourned at 6:13 p.m.